Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Dennis from Crypto Planet, also the Crypto Jew on Twitter, and today we're going to be focusing on a ZRX versus USD price analysis. What you can see here is I have the ZRX on the daily chart, and we can see that price had a very large spike last year during 2017 into 2018, and that's where we began our dump. And we originally reached all the way to $2.60, came down to 35 cents, and then made it all the way back up to $1.81 before retracing very low once again. We made it all the way down to about 15 cents, and we recently broke out of this wedge and we found support. And it looks to me that it's possible that we retest this line again, this trend line support somewhere on here, because that's what happens a lot of the time once you have price break out of these wedges. You'll have a breakout and then you'll have a retest of the support. And we came pretty close to it here, but it wouldn't surprise me if we break down, touch a zone over here, maybe around the 20-cent zone. Everyone becomes bearish, but they'll be wrong as price will just skyrocket back off, and that would be a bearish fake out. I could also potentially see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Elliott wave pattern over here, something like this, and a correction could be following that. Inevitably, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is followed by an ABC correction, but I'm not sure exactly where that is right now. We could have that complete somewhere around here. It's very possible. If you zoom out, you'll see that the top of the wedge is at $2.60. And normally with wedges, once you do break out, the long-term target is the top of the wedge. So that's not really unrealistic for us to get back to these zones. Let's see how much of an increase that would be. So to get back to all-time highs, that's about an 800% increase. That's a lot less of an increase that a lot of other altcoins need to make to get to their all-time highs. A lot of altcoins are a 50th of their all-time high, a 100th of their all-time high. So ZRX seems like one that will be have a much easier time getting there. And especially with it being listed on Coinbase, once we do have the initial wave of newcomers coming into crypto, this will definitely be one of the ones that gets picked up a lot, especially since it's considered cheap. A lot of people want the cheaper options than Bitcoin, and that's what happened in 2017. People were buying the cheaper options because they didn't understand really what was going on, and they just they thought $20,000 for a Bitcoin was expensive. So, of course, we don't want to rely on one single pattern for our trading. Let's take a look at some other indicators and let's look at some support and resistances. I'm going to take us over to the weekly chart and check that out. So clearly one of the most important major supports would be at this bottom over here, which is at 16 cents approximately. And then we probably have another lower support right around there. That's the lowest support that we can find on this chart. And then, of course, the two highest resistances would be at $1.97, where you have a lot of candles trying to breach that and can't. And then you also have this second attempt to go higher, which fails. And then we have the largest dump in this currency's history, right over here, where the candle wicks into this resistance. And then, of course, we have the peak, which is at about $2.72, where you have one candle wick right into that zone. So I'm going to plot some more right now. All right, so I think I plotted a decent amount of supports and resistances. Now let's take a look at it on the daily chart and see how these really look. So I removed the wedge from the chart, but something interesting about this support right here that aligns right around where that wedge trendline support was. So a drop down to here wouldn't be that surprising, especially since we failed to breach this resistance with multiple wicks on the daily chart, and we had a double top right over here. Two times these candles tried to breach further up and couldn't, along with the multiple wicks. This tells me that we're probably heading down to this support right here. So that seems like a good buy-in zone for anyone who's trying to buy some more ZRX in the future. Now, in the case that we don't bounce off of this strong zone, I would expect these zones to be reached. But in case that this is a Elliott wave pattern and we do find a retracement zone and bounce back, we would have to see less than a 100% retracement in order to consider this a valid wave and in order for price to continue forward with more bullish pressure. If we were to go underneath this support zone right here and close underneath, that would signify more than a 100% retracement, and that would signal, even further bearish pressure in the much longer term. So I just did a Fibonacci retracement on this whole move up, and I predict that this is where it begins, right over here, and then I put my second coordinate at the top over here. I believe this is where the wave actually ends, right at the peak of this last green candle. And as we can see right here, the 618, which is the golden zone, one of the most important Fibonacci zones in nature, and especially when it comes to human psychology and trading, this is a very important zone. You see that it aligns right with the support. It's right around the same area, so I'm just going to put this box here. I think that also signifies that this is a very good zone. And as you can see over here, we also have a lot of strong support at the 382 Fibonacci region, and that's where we have a very strong bounce. We also have a strong wick off the 0.5. So I would say if we do get past this zone and close above it, that would invalidate that where we are going lower. And I would say that we're just breaching this resistance and going higher, continuing with the bullish pressure much more quickly than I would expect. And that would be much more quickly than I expect because I don't expect us to get past this zone before we go lower. So I'm just going to take a look at a few other indicators now just to get a different perspective. I can see here on the RSI that this support is holding, potentially a bullish divergence, but we have to see what happens with this candle. I'd like to see how this candle closes on the daily, and I would prefer to buy above here for a confirmation of buy above the resistance in order to confirm that we are going higher. Also, on the ultimate oscillator, same sort of thing. I wouldn't really say that the ultimate oscillator is 100% bullish. That is a strong hold on this support right here. And I only consider this bearish if I see a move above 70 and that goes under 70 right after. Well, not really right afterwards, but it goes above 70 and then goes underneath. That to me is a sell signal. But right now, I don't see any sell signals on the ultimate oscillator, especially long term. This looks okay. It doesn't look bad at all. No moves above 70, especially over here or over here. All right, so I also just set up the Ichimoku cloud on here, and you put in the crypto settings for this always. You just click here for settings, and you type in 2060 120 30. And as you could see, we had a break above the Ichimoku cloud here, and then we stayed above it for a bit, and then we came back down. We came into it shortly, then we wicked into the 0.5 fib, and then we held right back above it. We had this strong green candle at the Ichimoku cloud support. So to me, this looks very bullish actually. And I wouldn't say that there's any sort of immediate sell signal for ZRX. I would say that if you are looking to purchase ZRX, this would have been a good zone. You have the 382 that held very well. Usually when I'm trading using fibs, I purchase at the different Fibonacci zones. Like this would have been a good zone to buy. The 0.5 would have been a good zone to set some buys, and the 0.618. So if I'm looking to buy an asset long term, a ZRX is a good asset to have long term. These would all be good zones to buy. And the 618 looks less likely to be hit right now, but we'll have to see what happens with a confirmation above here. But if you're holding, there's no immediate sell signal. And there's a better look at the Ichimoku cloud without all of that stuff in the way. Hope you guys like this analysis video. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys buying ZRX? Do you think it's a good asset to hold? And are you going to be selling it? Do you think it's bullish? Do you think it's bearish? Personally, I think it looks decent right now. I don't think it looks weak at all. I wouldn't sell this if I was holding it, but that's just my opinion. Subscribe and let me know what you guys think. Take care.